What is going on, YouTube? It's time to get into our Horseshoe Hustle segment. Today we are going to go through the quarterback room. Starting today, I'm going to go through every Colts position group: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, etc. Going to go through all the positions, all the groups, and we'll do special teams as well. We'll throw special teams in there. So today we're starting at quarterback. I'm not going to spend a crazy amount of time on this one because I talked about the quarterback room thousands of times over the offseason, hundreds of times. Not going to keep beating a dead horse, but let's get into it. So first off, we're just going to talk about Anthony Richardson to get out of the way. Look, Anthony Richardson has been a disappointment to say the least. Is he going to be healthy for training camp? They say that he should be. Having the re-injury to his shoulder, the same shoulder that he hurt. It was the same similar thing that he hurt in his rookie season, which is why he didn't finish his rookie season. And he got the second opinion and all that stuff. And the second opinion, the second doctor said he didn't really need the surgery, so he should be okay. And they keep saying he should be ready by training camp. Will he? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, he hasn't really lived up to the hype. Let me just be honest, man. I mean, look, he could barely complete 50% of his passes. Going ahead and saying I'm tired, take me out of the game, that was a nail in the coffin. Look, I mean, he doesn't read the field well. He's a slow processor. He stares down his first target. He makes a decision pre-snap. He wasn't really good in college. The Colts were banking purely on his upside and saying, hey, the baseline is his athletic ability. And, I've brought up the avenue of thinking where there's a chance Anthony Richardson doesn't make the roster. And a big reason to that is because of the way he handled himself last season, where he tapped out, said, Coach, I'm tired, take me out of play, I'm too tired. Look, I've said it multiple times, it's disrespectful to the coaches, to the entire organization, to his teammates, to the rest of the NFL, and really to the offense, really everyone. But if you take a step back and look at it, a lot of people are giving him excuses and all this. I don't like that because, it's a very big slap in the face to Andrew Luck. I mean, go back and watch those teams with Andrew Luck if you aren't aware. The Colts had a horrible offensive line. They did not build a team well. There really wasn't much going for them. Andrew Luck didn't really have a great play caller, a great head coach. Chuck Pagano was fun. He was good. He was nothing special. But now you fast forward a couple years after Andrew Luck retires. Andrew Luck only had the offensive line that he had for 1 year, unfortunately, and then he retired. So for Anthony Richardson to say he's tired and he has to, take a break, take a break for one play for being too tired, it's kind of disrespectful to Andrew Luck. It's kind of disrespectful to the organization. And that put the nail in the coffin for me. I would be willing to be more patient. I would be willing to give him a full year this year. I would be 100% willing to, I'd be open to give him a whole nother year to go out there, play, and show us what we got. I'd be open to it because the ceiling is so high, it's hard to ignore that. But tapping out, saying you're tired, is a nail in the coffin for me. And I think it was for a lot of that, for almost everyone in the building as well. You could tell the way everyone talks. Remember Joe Flacco towards the end of the year last year, I think it was the last game, and a reporter asked Joe Flacco, hey, if you had something to say to Anthony Richardson, give him a piece of advice, what would it be? And Joe Flacco's like, kind of tell the kid, sometimes he needs to, Joe Flacco said that he kind of told him that, you don't treat it as like a job, you know what I mean? You kind of treat it as, don't treat it as a job that, no. And, there's going to be days you don't want to do something. Yeah, there's going to be days you don't want to do what you love. But, it seemed like the way Anthony Richardson was treating it was not like a leader, like the face of the franchise should be. So, and this is nothing against Anthony Richardson's character. Phenomenal human being. He's the kind of guy you want to show up at your doorstep and take your daughter away. But the leader of an NFL team, no. And one more point I want to bring up about Andrew Luck. I mean, remember Andrew Luck, man? Remember the torn shoulder, played the whole season with the torn shoulder. He played the second half of a game with the lacerated spleen or kidney. I think it was a lacerated spleen. It might have been kidney. I don't remember. It was one of the two, but came back and he performed. He orchestrated a comeback versus the eventual Super Bowl champs. The eventual Denver Broncos Super Bowl winning defense. So it's wildly disrespectful, and if you go through what Andrew Luck went through, and then what Anthony Richardson's going through, I mean, Anthony Richardson has everything that Andrew Luck that we wanted Andrew Luck to have. Anthony Richardson has the offensive line. He has some damn good receivers. He has an incredible coach, really good play calling, discipline, has really good leadership. He has a really good defense. There's nothing more that you can ask that we could have been able to ask for Andrew Luck back then. It would have been dream scenario, but it is what it is. Anthony Richardson, I do think he makes a roster as QB2. You look at the quarterback room, you have Daniel Jones, Richardson. No, QB3 actually. I'm going to say I think he makes it as QB3. I think Riley Leonard will be the backup. We'll get to him in a moment. Let's talk about Daniel Jones. I get it. You look at Daniel Jones and you look at you just look at his numbers. You just look at this EPA, all these extra advanced analytics. Cool. You could look at them. You could bring those up in debate. Cool, fine. But when you dig into it, when you go and look into Daniel Jones, you watch a little bit of him in New York. You kind of dig into the numbers, not just read the numbers and make your opinion from there. No, Daniel Jones isn't. I don't think he's going to be great with the Colts. I could see it being a Kirk Cousins type of a situation. Kirk Cousins comes from the Redskins, goes to the Vikings, and it was history from then for the Vikings. He was a phenomenal starting quarterback. I don't know if Daniel Jones is capable of being that good, playing at that high level, but I do know that Daniel Jones is capable of playing winning football. I mean, the single year he had a decent supporting cast over in New York, he led the Giants to a playoff appearance, and he won a playoff game against a 13 or 14 win Vikings team. Hello? You can say what you want about the Vikings that year, about how many games they won by one score, this and that, fine. But at the end of the day, they beat a 13 win Viking team. Next week, they got pummeled by the Eagles, yeah, but the Giants weren't good enough in general. They didn't really have a good team around them. And that's kind of the thing. The Colts are perfectly built for Daniel Jones. So he gives you the best chance to win games week one in the entire season. I think Anthony Richardson could be used as like a Taysom Hill type of a thing, as a in wildcat packages, maybe running back once in a while. So you could probably do some funky things with AR, and you could keep Daniel Jones as your main starting quarterback, and Riley Leonard as your main backup, your main QB2. I know it's kind of contradictory, that's a paradox, putting those two words and phrases together. Main and QB2, backup, not really words you put together, but I just mean like the primary backup over AR. And AR just being purely like a wildcat kind of a guy, a wildcat package kind of a guy. That's it. Nothing else. But Daniel Jones, back to Daniel Jones, he's a good quarterback. Maybe he's not anything insane. Maybe he's not great. But Daniel Jones is capable of winning football. He's capable of coming into here, and let's also look at what he fought through his first couple of years playing in New York. Look at how many times he was hurt. Look at all the bull crap he put up with before the new coach they have now. I mean, you have to take into consideration what he had around him. No offensive line. Receivers were hurt every year. Defense was all right, but that doesn't help Daniel Jones in terms of, helping Daniel Jones getting some passes off, this and that. And, and don't forget, Daniel Jones has wheels too. He can move. I don't know, he's Vanilla Vic for a reason. Props East Coast Props Dante over at ECG. Completely just forgot about that when we were talking with them. But, yeah, Jones can move. And having JT, having, the best offensive line that Daniel Jones will ever get to play with that he has played with so far in his career. Having the receivers he hasn't had in his career yet so far. You could argue none of them are the caliber of Malik Neighbors, but there are so many weapons at his disposal that it's kind of like, it kind of offsets that in a way. Yeah, it's all, what would you rather? Would you rather one top 5 receivers and the rest be hurt all the time and, not even number 2s, probably number 5, probably typical 5s and 6s playing 2s and 3s. You understand what I'm saying? So, and he's going to have a consistent run game. Now, a lot of people are going to point to this, yeah, he had Saquon Barkley. Well, Saquon Barkley was hurt a good majority of the time he was there, and once again, the offensive line wasn't very good, so it was difficult to get that run game going and keep it consistent. The Colts offensive line, Jonathan Taylor, I'm not saying JT is better than Barkley, I'm not saying that, but I think he has the potential to be. I think he could be when he's fully healthy and firing on all cylinders. I think JT is about as good as Saquon Barkley. Say what you want to say, but that's the damn truth. He's electric, and that's only going to help Daniel Jones. Jones is QB1. There's already reports coming out that Daniel Jones is, he's killing it. He's playing so well in training camp. He's already ahead. And Anthony Richardson is going to have to pull some kind of miracle out of his butt to win that QB1 spot because Jones already has that experience, and he's ahead this far, and AR has a few years in the system. And Daniel, say what you want to say about Daniel Jones. If you want to say Daniel Jones is not good, that's okay. But let's, take a step back and say, hey, look, Daniel Jones, we're getting these reports, Shane Steichen saying all these good things about Jones. He's playing really well. He looks really good. Why don't you just take it at that face value then? Daniel Jones is looking better now. Yeah, he has experience on his side. Yeah, he has a good team around him now. He's going to make use of it. And it's showing in practice. Meanwhile, on the other end, you're hearing Anthony Richardson is struggling in practice. On top of that, he can't stay healthy himself. So, if you're going to say Daniel Jones is bad and he's not very good at all, and he's not a good option, well, how could you sit there and say Anthony Richardson is a better option at this point? He is not. Richardson's a good option for wildcat package type of stuff. So I'm going to leave it at that. All right. Riley Leonard. I'm excited about Riley Leonard. If you guys have not watched his sit-down interview with John Gruden, I highly suggest you go and watch it. Funny enough, as I was watching it, I'm like, this guy reminds me of Phillip Rivers. Very similar. And just the way he talks, the way he's carrying himself, the way, just everything. So that's some pretty high praise there. I'm not saying he's as good as Rivers, or he will be. But I love his attitude. I love the way he conducts himself. He conducts himself as a leader of a football team. He conducts himself, talking about Notre Dame, he's like, if we got to anything less than the national championship, it would have been a failure. It would have been a bust. It would not have been good. And yeah, the way the Notre Dame situation was, this and that, and that apologize. That's what it was for Riley Leonard. And he made it happen. You could say, yeah, the team around him was really good too. He had a good team around him. But Riley Leonard, he was decent in Duke, transfers to Notre Dame, and brings Notre Dame to the conference title game. Or not just a conference title game, but the they don't have a conference title game because they're not really in a conference. The national title game, championship appearance. Riley Leonard does a lot of things really well. He can move as well. Let's not forget about that. Riley Leonard can move. He's got some good accuracy. He's got an edge to him. He's got that competitive edge to him and that quarterback leader type of vibe to him. There cannot be any more good to say about Riley Leonard. I'd be here all day. I like Riley Leonard, and I think he's in a better spot at this point than Anthony Richardson. So that makes me excited. Then after Riley Leonard, you have Jason Bean. It's a Kansas kid. 3 year, he played 6 years in college, 3 years at North Texas, 3 years at Kansas. He has experience under his belt. Wasn't horrible, wasn't too bad. He provides a little more competition. So, yeah, there's a Colts quarterback room for you. I have Daniel Jones starting, Riley Leonard being the backup, and Anthony Richardson being QB3. So, appreciate you guys watching. I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts in this quarterback room. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about everyone. What do you think about Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones? Who's starting week 1? Who you want to start? I know a lot of your answers are probably going to be Anthony Richardson, but honestly, I think the best go is Daniel Jones. You have to think about it here. I mean, Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard, they're in the hot seat, okay? And especially for, everything happened with Irsay, it's like, okay, we have to kick our butts into gear, and we have to put out there who is going to win. We have to get, it's not only putting the guy out there that's going to perform the best and bring the Colts to the best place possible that they could, but it's also to keep their jobs. So they're going to put whoever gives the Colts the best chance to win now out there. And that's going to be Daniel Jones. So that's all I got for me. Thank you guys for tuning in to the JDW Sports Network. Yes, this is another segment of the Horseshoe Hustle. I'll be back for the running back group, offensive line. I'll be back for every defensive position group, all that stuff. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Great place to be. Great football content. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. It's Jason, and I will catch you guys next time. Thank you for watching.